right in your sight, in your sight. In a God's eye, me want live right. Walk where you want me to walk. Talk where you want me to talk.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? Candace, how are you doing?
Good. I good. I had my very powerful Sunday sleep. You know something about a Sunday sleep that's just, I don't know why. Like something I was sleeping on a Sunday, it's just be powerful. So I'm on a Sunday sleep and I'm ready to go. We're gonna miss you.
Okay, I good. I haven't had Sunday sleep in a little while, but I'm alright. I good. No complaints here. I started by giving a disclaimer up front. In case you guys see any mishaps today, it's because I am the one trying to manage all the theatrics that Chris and Chelsey usually handle. So if I look distracted and stuff, that's why. So today, we are discussing a not so popular topic of discussion, I guess, but something that is very, very important, and that is time management, right? So the way I see it is on the last session we discussed vision, and we discussed how important vision is. We did vision boards. I kind of semi-updated mine and that kind of thing. And we spoke about the importance of vision in achieving your goals and achieving purpose and stuff. And it did come up very briefly when we were discussing putting like timelines on the vision board, right? And I think the next step after understanding what your purpose is, coming up with a vision, is execution. And a very important part of executing something is doing it in a timely manner. And timeliness and good time management is important. In my profession, being on time is important. And being on time, for me, doesn't necessarily equate to me managing my time very well. My time management is very poor, I would say. I get what I need to get done in time for when I need to get it done, but I am positive if I was managing my time better, I'd probably get a lot more done generally. I'd be able to probably progress more than one thing at a time instead of only being able to progress one item at a time. Candace, how is your time management?
It's not the best, but I've come a very, very, very long way. But I still need a little help. I'm the kind of person too. I think this is like while you were talking there, like I get my first question for the guest speaker. Because I'm the kind of person, and some people like the last minute rush.
Yeah.
I am that person. Like I am the person who will wait. Like when I was studying, I will wait till like the assignment due the night before. And I find that's when I used to perform the best now. But it's probably I'm a crap at talking. That's a really good question to ask her. But my time management has improved quite significantly, but it's not 100%. I think a little better off than how you were saying, because you sound like if you need to get yourself together.
I kind of do. I think so.
But I think I'll little okay. I think at the end of the session I'll give myself a rating, and I'll see if you can destroy. You really need to get.
So if you had to rate yourself now, what you would give yourself?
How are you rating it though? How are you rating it? Based on getting daily items done or getting
I guess
like
this is a question we'll have our guests as well. Like how could you even figure out if you're managing your time well or not?
Right.
But I would think that it would be achieving things, being able to check things off your list.
On a daily basis or vision board basis? Or
daily?
Okay.
Daily. Because daily will feed into your Say vision board.
Okay. I'll give myself a solid 7.5. How much you give
Okay.
yourself?
I thinking I'll give myself like a 3.
This. No, like what you have to do so that you're managing your time.
But that's the next thing, because that's something else. But let's not delay in bringing. I just thinking is I would give myself a 3, and that's me. I don't know if that's me being overcritical
I think
or just
so.
not understanding at all what time management really is. But I give myself a 3 for now. At the end of the discussion, we will revisit the rating based on what the guest has to say. So go ahead and introduce.
Okay, guys. So today we have our time management coach, Tamara Rock. Mateela and I know Tamara from Takriga Worship House. I'm very vibrant, full of personality. Very easy to communicate with. Normal, like I feel she did, like she just normal. um, she has done or has moved or have on social media. She has a very strong presence when it comes to time management, and she has a lot to offer, a lot of information. I know she's going to drop some serious gems for us this evening. So, can you all put your emoji hands together for Tamara Rock as she comes on now? Now. Okay, there we go. Hi, Tamara.
Hey.
Very sorry. Hello, Tamara.
Hi, what's
Sorry. I kind of stick on bringing it in there this afternoon, but my apologies. But welcome to Walk That Talk on the screen on the front line. Well, I saw your head nodding a little bit and shaking a little bit in the backstage while we were discussing our time management and rating ourselves. But I guess before we even start with the time management, if you could tell us a little bit about Tamara and about TM Consultants.
Sure. Well, first of all, guys, I'm really excited to get into the discussion because that was interesting. What both of you all said, I mean, I was happy to sit and sit back and be able to listen to that conversation there and to hear the rating. And I agree. At the end of this, I'd like you guys to rate yourselves again and determine if you're as bad or as good as you actually think you are based on what we share this afternoon. But for those of you who don't know me, I am Tamara Rock. I'm a double twin mommy, and I am a time management coach to busy working women. So before it used to be busy working moms, because as a busy working mom, I know of the struggle, but I felt led at the beginning of this year to expand it to women in general, preferably women from the Caribbean, because some of the advice that I would give, I think, would be better suited for someone in the Caribbean. And someone in the Caribbean might find that they could click a little more what we're talking about here. Because I remember once looking for advice, and I looked to someone abroad, and they're talking about, bathe the children and dress them the night before for school. And it's easy just to pack the dishwasher. You can wash clothes real fast. 15 minutes, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I could talk to persons from the Caribbean, right? Started the journey about 6 years ago. You all know me. I mean, started going to Takriga Worship House, going to church on time, everything on time, and then children came, and then for the life of us, we couldn't get there on time, and we couldn't get to anywhere on time. I remember once my boss told my supervisor, write her up, write her up. I was late every single day. Every single day, every flexi time, the time I come to work 8:30 or late for that, the time I come to work 9 or late for that, every flexi time, because I could not manage coming from the distance that I lived, right? So I live about a 2-hour trek to get to work every morning, and coming from that distance, and then we have to prepare stuff before, and then drop this one to preschool, and then drop that one there. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I remember thinking, if I could just get a more flexible position at my job, like a traveling officer position, then I'd be able to have a little more flexibility. So I went and I went back to school and I signed up for the degree and I got through the position by the grace of God. And then it just got worse because I had this demanding job and I still couldn't reach anywhere on time. And the only place I'll get to on time is to a meeting with a client because perhaps it was the fear of losing out or that kind of thing. But it was worse. And long story short, coming out of that, by the grace of God, I was able to start to learn some really necessary techniques that helped me to start to align things and helped me to prioritize better, put some systems in place. And for my next set of twins, I was on bed rest and I was like, I can't lie down and do nothing. I mean, I would like to do that right now, but generally, I just can't lie down and just do nothing. And I decided to sign up for a coaching school and get certified. A number of my friends, family members, they were like, could you help me manage my time? And I was like, me? You saw my house? Did you see my kitchen? But the fact that persons who knew me personally would come to ask me, it really felt like, hey, I could do this. And it started from there, built a little following, started a business. And now I coach people on managing their time. And it's not that things are perfect with me, because as you will learn as we chat, time management is a work in progress. It's a work in progress. And it is that way because life is unpredictable. You could plan your best plan and tomorrow something happens and it doesn't work out. So time management essentially is being able to having the skills and the techniques to be able to get things back into alignment, to get things back into center. Because things aren't going to go as you would like them to go all of the time. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, so I will start with a comment at first. Because I have one of my friends and I would always discuss. Well, you mentioned that you're a double twin mother, right? You're a double twin mom. I cannot even begin to imagine what that is like at all, right? But I know sometimes I sit down and I think I would have made a post about it on social media before. Like, I see people who I know married with children, studying, making heart-shaped dumplings, and doing the most. And I sit down here with my single, unmarried self with no children, no dependents, and I can't find the time to make heart-shaped dumplings. So that hence reason I say my time management is very poor. When you look at, not that you're comparing yourself to other people, but when you look at the number of things that some people might juggle, it really makes you question, like, Mateela, like, what you're really doing with your time. Like, I'm not late for work. I'm never not where I'm supposed to be. I don't miss deadlines, but to me, that does not equate to me being able to manage my time properly, because in being on time, in meeting my deadlines, there's a lot of other things that I've left undone, important things. So I would focus probably on what is next important, or what is the most risky thing to not get done, right? So is it that time management? So the question I'm asking is, somebody who's not late for work, does that necessarily mean you're good at managing your time? Somebody who doesn't miss submitting their projects or whatever in school, or meeting work, does that necessarily translate to somebody that's managing time well?
That's an interesting question, because what is really managing your time well? Let me ask you, when you consider that you don't manage your time well, describe for me what a day would look like if you manage your time well.
I get everything that I needed to get done. Or
everything that you needed to get done, or everything that you just have to get done? Everything
that I would like to and need to get done. So let me say, for instance, okay, so I have work commitments. I have commitments to clients. I have things to do around the house. You have things to do outside. And what I would find happening is time will always seem short, probably because I don't cut off from work as quickly as I should or whatever. So I have a lot of bleed over time or spill over time. So I might tell myself, okay, I'm going to do this in 2 hours time. It really take 3.5. It bleed into some other time. So something else got left and then something else picks up. So, and a lot of times I find what gets left undone is personal things that I need to do properly to take care of myself, to exercise, to cook and prepare a meal properly, to go and buy the things I need to prepare properly. So my time management, in my estimation, is not good. And then attention is not balanced.
Okay. So just listening to you, I've heard one thing. You know how to prioritize, because you indicated that you'll get the important stuff, the risky stuff, that kind of thing out of the way. That's necessary for time management, knowing how to identify the priorities. What may be an issue is that you haven't identified the cooking and the meal and all of these other stuff as priorities. So once those things appear in your head as a priority, because a priority could be defined as something that is most important that you'll attend to first. So on your list of priorities, you have placed your work and the commitments higher than you've placed cooking, your meal, and the other things that you described, because that's how you've rated it. And as such, that's how you spend your time. So the only thing you may have to tweak is your priorities listing, and attend to these things. You may have to actually make a concerted effort and say, you know what, this is our priority. Many times it's easily not to prioritize ourselves because somebody else's priorities are your priorities. For instance, work. If it was entirely up to you, you would have probably treated it like the rest of your own personal stuff. But because you're accountable to somebody, you're accountable to your clients, you're accountable to your job, you can't make them mistakes. So that has top priority, but that really is somebody else's priority. If you understand what I'm saying, that's pressuring you to make sure. Now, when people get sick and they have no choice but to fix the diet, it becomes a priority because there's that external pressure on them once again. When your discipline improves and that kind of thing, and you focus on your priorities, then you would spend your time on those priorities. So it really all depends on what you have prioritized. When you ask somebody, what are your top 6 to 8 priorities? The first thing they say, God, myself, but then when you ask them how much time they spend with God every day, they say, well, I don't really get a chance every day to pray. So is that really a priority? So sometimes we don't prioritize our priorities. But you can ask the question if people getting certain things done, if it makes them a good time manager. Now, we had a brief discussion a couple of days ago where we spoke about the law of diminishing return, where if you're doing one thing, you're not going to get something done. That's just how it is. It's just a decision between what you're going to focus on to get done and what's not going to get done. So those mummies that you're seeing who doing all of these things, trust me, something is not getting done. Everything isn't going to get done, or if it's getting done, it's not going to be 100% because there are 24 hours in the day. So you could be sure that hard dumpling being made, but something else couldn't be done. But that hard dumpling was more important, and that was a priority at that point in time. So that's why we made the hard dumpling. Because I used to pass by people's homes and see people sitting down in the yard, like on chairs, like liming, doing nothing. And I just thought to myself, one day, Lord, one day that's going to be me. I'm just going to be sitting on a chair doing nothing, and my house is clean and food is cooked. But that's not true. Sometimes I'm sitting on a chair and inside is dirty. And we are looking at them and saying, wow, look at that boy. I wish I had that life. I remember telling my mom, I wish I had that life. I could just sit on a chair. My mom said, please, you had a chair in a gallery home and end up just sit on a chair. But sometimes you're looking at them and you think that is perfect, but it's not. Everybody is making a choice between something that they want.
One thing or the other.
One thing or the other. And the thing about time management is that you have a specific block of time. It's like a closet. There's a time management coach called Julie Morgenstern. She describes it as a closet. And there are only so many things that could be fit into that closet in that day. And you have to decide what is most important to you. And we have to make a decision. The path of personal development is where we stop allowing life to just happen to us. So no pressure is on this area, so I will get to it. and we start making a decision. Because the moment you start to prioritize your own self, your self-care, making sure you get your exercise in, you will begin to see that a lot of other areas in your life are just like a domino. They're just going to fall in places, especially things like exercise. They call that a keystone habit. When you get your exercise routine going, our morning devotions, those particular habits set the stage for a number of other habits to just fall in place. So that's actually great places to start to prioritize your time. It can be 5 minutes exercise, 10 minutes exercise, 5 minutes of time in prayer. But this thing is to get started and to prioritize, and it will build, and all the other areas that you find all over the place, you'll see how they begin to fall into place.
I need to talk, and I don't move from 7.5 to a hot 6 because I think, and I'm like remembering little things that I would like to get on a day-to-day basis that I don't get done. A simple thing, I honestly would like to get up in the morning and see about the dogs before I go to work, right? But by the time I get up, and then when I get up, it's going to take like 15 minutes getting up after you get up and doing all kind of million things. I realized that seeing about it is something I want to do, but I don't fit it in. Here, and you talk now, and I commit. I'm saying commit because it's something I do. If I'm into a series, I commit at least 40 minutes of my day, whether it's in the night, am I burning me to take in that series. And I'm thinking there are little things I want to do. There are little projects last week. I need to do vision boards that I haven't yet started. But if I dedicate 10 minutes a day to doing those little things, I will get it done. And as you say, things will just fall into place. I realizing I will say the answer to Mateela's question is no. Just because you're getting stuff done on a day-to-day basis doesn't mean you're managing your time well. Because that's how I judge myself at the beginning, because I used to work on time. You give me something to do, I'll do it before the deadline. No pressure. But when it comes to the goals that I have for my life, the things that I want to get done, I'm not getting it done. I'm not getting it done. And my priorities kind of low, could be reshuffled a little bit because 40 minutes to take another Netflix series could be divided up into, other things. So my question is tomorrow, when you still go secondary school, you have like a timetable, like when you have history this time, you have social studies this time. Do you recommend that we do that for our day-to-day lives to maintain our routine?
Actually, I do. It's called time blocking. And at the beginning, I didn't like time blocking because I didn't have a proper understanding of what time blocking was. I created it exactly like the timetable. I mean, and some people do. That does not work for me with kids and 1,000,000,000 gazillion things that we have to do. But time blocking is where you would block off certain things at a certain time during the day and stick to it like a routine. So, for instance, between 8 to 4, that's one large block because usually that's your work time, right? 8 to half past 8, half past so that's one large block. 12 to 1 might be a block. That might be a lunch break. 6 to 8 might be a traveling when you're going to or from to work in the morning. That's a block. In the afternoon, you may have a certain activity that you do. So you have specific blocks and you stick to the block. What I realize makes your block work is when your block actually reflects how your day really goes. So sometimes we make a plan and it doesn't work because we put this thing for the wrong time of the day. Some people can't study late at night and they say tonight, every single night from 6 to 8, I'm gonna study so and so and so and so and so. And every time you sit down, you're falling asleep because that's not the best time for you. And a lot of times people fail. But time blocking is what I do. I'm gonna show you. So I have a picture of my week, what my week typically looks like according to blocks, and I don't know if you can see it properly. So I have blocks of time on my planner, and what time blocking does, it just like the closet where we know I had to get rid of some of those clothes in there because there's no more room for other things. When I look at my block and I see this block is filled, cool, that block is filled, then I can determine where I could fit this boy because I know what my week looks like. So that's the beauty of time blocking. Time blocking also helps you create habits and to help you to manage people's expectations. So can I do this Friday? You check and say, nah boy, Fridays is exercising with your friends because they already have that block. And some persons, they treat the block very strictly where they actually set a timer and when that time is done. So say for instance, you have a block for breakfast. When that time up, wherever you reach, you put it away and you leave. Some people do it like that and it works for them. So that's the thing about time management. Is what works for you. There are a lot of techniques, a lot of time management techniques. You find one that works for you, you use the one that works for you. That timing thing does not work for me. What works for me is being able to plan according to the block, and my blocks are a lot more flexible. But yes, Candace, that's actually a very good question. Using like a timetable and incorporate it into your home time too. And it feels, I can imagine for somebody it might feel restrictive, but it is not. You get so much more things done. You know, people think that I want to be spontaneous, I don't want to plan, and you get nothing done. All your spontaneity and nothing done. You wish you could do this, you wish you could do that. But when you actually start to manage your shit, because we really can't manage time, and truth and everything. In fact, you really can't manage time. That's just I think a saying, and I use it to identify what I do, but I know God in church. I can't manage time. What I can do is manage my responsibilities and my tasks within the frequency of time. But you have people who they're not getting anything done. And as soon as you get things in order, then you find time. Oh, you learn how to schedule it. So we will go bungee jumping next week. You understand? As opposed to just having, this thought and thinking you're spontaneous when you're really spontaneously doing absolutely nothing. So that is a very good question. But I must say though, you commented on Mateela saying that it may not make you a good time manager. And I would like to disagree with that. And why I say that is because in the definition of managing your time, really, it doesn't mean that you're going to get absolutely everything done. And you might be a good time manager, and you could probably be a better time manager. But the fact that you could actually get some parts right, mean you just have to take some of the principles that you're applying to some parts and just move it over to some other parts and improve. So I would say that Mateela is probably a better time manager than she thinks she is. She has the tools that she needs and she just needs to apply it. Whereas there are some people, I have found that persons who try to manage their time usually rate themselves very low. Because there's a little set of questions I ask persons when they join a group. Do you struggle with time management? And some people could say no. And I think to myself, you must be awesome because everybody at some point in time does struggle to get things done on time. And the persons who are actively managing or trying to learn about time management or very organized tend to rate themselves very low. For me, I would never rate myself as a great time manager because I always see what could be done better. I always see where I could have done this with my time. I could have done that with my time when I didn't. So I would be like, oh, I'm probably a 7 or 7.5 or something like that. But I found that persons who don't notice the issues that they have and how it's time is a lack of time management is the cause of it. I usually want to say, I have no problem with time management. Do you exercise? No. I'm just buy food every day. Hell yeah. But time management, I have no issue. That's about me,
That is legit me, described there. that is me. That is so me. And I think a key attribute to time management is discipline. Like you have to have that discipline, boy. You have to have that discipline. You have to have it to because we are humans and we like pleasure. So you really have to have a discipline to say, okay, Candace Joy, listen, this is Netflix. It's not benefiting you in any way. Netflix is going to be here tomorrow. You want to get this book done. You want to get this goal done. It takes discipline to do things like that. And it also, I used to be, but I don't have any, actually, no, I am. Let me not gas up myself. I struggle with procrastination. And I was saying in the opening with Mateela, there are some people, like for me, right? I when I used to be in university, I would get an assignment. Like I would have assignment 2 weeks before, and I'll wait like the night before, 2 nights before to start the assignment, right? And is you have to do your research, you have to get your articles, you have to do full works, full paper. And I will wait till the last 2 days because I like the rush, I like the pressure, I like staying up and getting up the other morning and saying, "No good, I have to do all nighter, boy. I study and I used to like that. I used to like that. And I'll do well. I will score, get A or B plus or whatever in the course. So what would you say for somebody who gets a high? I don't know if that's the correct phrasing of it. People who get a high off of procrastination, gets a high off of doing things last minute. Well, for me, this is with studying. But probably for some people, they do it. I know that people like it. I have plenty memes and things. I know this is just not me alone who does feel this way. And I don't know if you have clients, if you call them that, who experience what I experience. But obviously, it is unhealthy. But what will you have to say about that?
Well, let me ask you, is this something that you would like, that you have a problem with it?
But I really can't say no because right now, well, that's with education for me, right? But I'm not studying at the moment. But when it comes to education, no, I did not have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with it. But I never tried starting 2 weeks before. I probably would have done better, or I probably would have. I don't know, but no, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a
Right.
problem
So
with it.
I asked that because
Education,
yes,
education.
there are some person. So when you say for education, is it that you procrastinate on other things as well, but for education it was okay?
Yes, yeah. I'm not defending it in other areas of my life, if that makes sense. But
So it worked for
it,
education, but
yeah,
it's not working for other areas.
no,
So then that's a problem.
okay. Like if I'm a counseling session,
Yes, that's a problem.
So that's a problem. So yes,
okay,
there are some people, I think they call it conquistadors of chaos. There are some people who all right, so for me, for instance, right? Like you, I used to call myself a professional crammer, right? My friend who's a teacher now, she said, I do not know how you do it. She said, I have no idea. I mean, I develop techniques and systems on cramming. When I cram, I show you exactly how I cram and I have a little system in place. And when I done, like you, A's or B plus or whatever, and I passed my exam. And I didn't really have much of an issue with it until I got married and had children and was going to school, and it did not work anymore. Cramming didn't work anymore, but I built some very strong cramming muscles. And cramming was my go-to. Like procrastination is your go-to. Because in school it worked. I'll let you know, had you started earlier, you would probably have done way better because you knew what you needed to do. Your thing was just a time thing. And the lateness of it, the rush caused you to zone in on what needed to be done. So you didn't really waste time, right? But what has happened is that now you are, I don't like to call people procrastinators. So I like to say that you've built some very strong procrastination muscles. And now everything you're procrastinating for, because that's what you know. And that's almost a kind of tough thing, especially when you got through with it before. Now you have to unlearn. So what I often have to do is to pretend that I have just one more night to get done, to get my mind. Because now, because I was a internationally acclaimed professional crammer, now when I have to study in advance, it is difficult for me to get started. I'll get started, and when I cram, I don't read the whole chapter. When I cram, I speed reading, right? When I cram, I know exactly where I'm going to get my articles. But when I have to study, I don't know how to properly spend my time. So I waste 2 weeks studying one long chapter. And then when the time for the exam, I'm trying to hustle along the next 9 chapters, you understand? Because my cramming muscles are strong. So what I have to do now to combat that is to put myself in that position. Because like you, I would, when it's late now I get started because it's work. So I have to put my mind in that frame of, all right, let's pretend it's the night before the exam. What would you do now to be able to start earlier? Because my muscles are strong. So that's actually something that I still have to work on as I'm back in school now. my go-to is what I know, because that's what I did for so many years. But it wasn't a problem then, but it's a problem now. And that's the thing for a lot of procrastinators. They get away with it for a little while. But you will come into a place where you realize that your life could change if you just learn how to get things done in a more timely fashion.
Good stuff. I want to just touch back a little bit on the timetabling / time blocking, right? There's a point in 2019 where it was very, very bad for me. Time management. Work was taking over my life and a lot of things weren't happening. So I came up with this timetable, right? Where every hour, there was a schedule for every hour. If I could find it, I will show it, right? But I didn't like it because I felt like I was becoming a slave to paper. Like, okay, Saturday morning, 9 to 11 is cleaning time. When 11 reaches, stop, you go outside, you go and buy this, and you come back. By 2, you need to sit down and study. And I felt like I lost control of my life because, you want to be able to feel like you're just living and thing a little bit instead of having to be cross-referencing everything with this paper, right? So that's one thing I wanted to say about the color blocking. Not color blocking, time blocking, right? And you could probably drop a comment on that. But I think in theory, I'm now seeing it being very useful. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm somebody, I think I'm too available. I like to help people. And I overbook myself a whole lot. So anybody come and ask me to do something, Mateela, you can help me do this? Yeah. When? So. After I commit to that, then I was like, shucks, I had this thing to do here. So overcommitting yourself to that particular person or to do that particular thing, then that shifts time from something that was there before. And then that have to find a space of time for that. And I would always find a space of time like, okay, well, I could wash my hair tomorrow instead, because there's a 3 hours. Or I could do this tomorrow instead, or I could exercise tomorrow, or I'll go in the grocery tomorrow and cook. So time blocking, I mean, maybe I need to have a change in perception that it is not being a slave to a paper, but it's just helping you to see it's like an appointment book. It's like helping you to see, what already exists and how to navigate your time, I guess. But for people who y'all were talking about time and school and stuff like that, and Candace was talking as well about the 40 minutes Netflix time could be split up into other things, right? And it goes back to what you were saying initially about prioritizing, right? And I would think the vision board, because I just want to jump back to the vision board. The vision board kind of helps you to prioritize, in my opinion, because you see in there what you want to achieve, right? And I know a lot of people on their business boards would what's wrong with me? A lot of people on their vision boards would have probably things like wanting to develop a hobby, wanting to probably develop a business plan, but they can't really see the way to do it because they may be married with children, they may be studying, they may be working now, maybe 1 or 2 jobs, trying to, compensate for the losses over the last year or so. And I'm wondering, what would you say to yourself, because you married with children, and probably, I don't know if you're doing anything academically or whatever, what would you say to somebody, or even the single person like myself, the young professional, who, when you're young, they have this thing like, you need to work hard and, get up and climb this corporate, like all these things. So you're focusing so much on these things, but you want to be able to divide your attention otherwise to get certain things. And I know we would have kind of spoken about it before, but I wanted to kind of draw out from you like some quick tips or quick guides as to what, because I have a friend, she's a professional as well. She has a young baby, and the demands of a private practice are a lot. And, you're just doing a lot of things. And I've noticed that with most people, the first thing that tends to get cut is yourself. It's always yourself. And then if you're not healthy, if you're not rested, you're not good to anybody, really. So what would be like the practical tips? I mean, the color block time blocking is one for sure. But what else you think would you say to somebody to try and get things in order?
So which one do you want me to answer? Because you mentioned the time blocking and the fact that for you it just felt like you're just living on this piece of paper. And you mentioned tips in additional to time blocking that persons could use. Which one? Which one you want to this one? Both?
You could do
All
both.
right, so I'll talk about the time blocking first, right? So Candace, I mentioned something before about discipline, right? And before, if where I was and how I was struggling with time management, when somebody would say you just need more discipline, I could have just find something to hit them with, right? Because discipline just felt so hard. I have all of these things, and now I had to find the discipline to will myself to get these things done. And the thing is, when you're tired, your willpower is decreased. If you're hungry, you're sleepy, that kind of thing, you have less willpower. So if I'm tired all the time, where are you going and find the willpower? It is so much easier to sit down and watch 40 minutes on Netflix and relax my brain a little bit than to say, okay, Tamara, let's take off 10 minutes. You could go in your bed 10 minutes earlier to get up 10 minutes earlier to go and feed these dogs. It's a lot easier for me just to watch the show. Discipline is hard. So one of these things I have found is that I don't start with discipline. So we're getting back to this time blocking. I don't start with discipline. What do you mean don't start with discipline? I'll give you an example. I know of a person who used to complain that every day her husband will drop his clothes on the floor instead of in the dirty clothes basket when he has to go to bed. And she didn't know what to do because she was sick and tired of it. No matter how many times she would say, could you kindly put your clothes in the dirty clothes basket? He would just keep dropping it on the floor. She don't know what his mother taught him. And she was sick and tired of it. And the coach responded and said, why don't you put the basket right where he drops the clothes? And I thought, makes sense. Instead of fighting up, why don't you look for another way to get it done? And that's how I approached it. Instead of me trying to be a superhero, because I'm done tired already, and I really would prefer to stay up and watch TV, and I don't want to get up and go in the kitchen and prepare any lunch. I do not want to do any cooking, any cleaning of any sort. I just want to do nothing. Then I had to start learning discipline the easy way. And one of the ways I see it is when Peter was stepping out on that boat on the water onto Christ. I don't think God expected him to just start running on the water towards him. He didn't. He didn't actually just stepping out of that boat, and then he was like, come, I will guide you. He started sinking and he catch you. That's how I approach it when it comes to time management. A little step. Do it a different way. So time blocking. Time blocking requires discipline. So how did I approach time blocking? Well, for one, the time blocks has to suit how my day goes. Sometimes we try to force all we want to do in these blocks. And when you finish, you're feeling like if you're working all day, and then on the weekend, you're still working because you have to do this by now, and you have to do this by now, and it frustrates you. So
that was definitely me. Definitely. That was definitely me.
Yes. So you feel like you're still working, you're working. So then my time block needs to reflect how my day is. So when I approach my time blocking, I put down the non-negotiable things that I can't change. So as I mentioned before, the hours are working, that kind of stuff, that can't change. So once I have the basics down, then you need to know what your day actually looks like. So for anybody who is starting a time management journey, this might sound hard, but it's very essential. You need to actually take a little audit, pen and paper, take an audit, and write down how you spend your day. I have had so many people that ask them, how do you spend your day? And they rattle off what they do. And I say, all right, I want you to take an audit and tell me how you actually spend the day. When you wake up in the morning, you wake up this time, you left the house that time. If you can even time how long it takes to do some of the tasks that you have in trouble, but take an audit, track your time during the day. When you track your time during the day, you'll realize how you actually spend your time. You'll begin to identify the areas that you actually are free. You'll begin to identify the areas that you're wasting time. But when you take a time audit, then when you're approaching your time blocking, in a more informed place. You will also know that, you know what? This really can't be done here, and I'm forcing it. and I can't go on for long doing this thing. Simplify it. You understand? So when you're creating, sorry, I got in. Only hear my kids. No? Okay, sorry. So that when you're creating your time blocks, you're creating your time blocks from a place of, I guess, realism. You're creating it from a place where it is going to work, because I know what I do in the morning, so I've blocked off this time. This time is when we usually, for those moms, for when you usually getting everybody ready to go to work. This time, for those who are going to school, is when you have classes, you block off your time realistically. And when you've blocked off your time, you begin to see the spots where you can actually place some of the things that you want to do, and that has to be realistic as well. I remember always having this desire to go jogging in the morning. And I thought, all these successful women, they just go jogging in the morning, right? These women, you would see them, I just pass them and wonder how are they having time to go jogging, and I hustle into work, right? But I always thought, I want to be one of those women. I want to go jogging in the morning. And I've been so disappointed in myself because I'm not getting to go jogging in the morning. And then one day reality hit me. I hate jogging. I never liked jogging. They looked good jogging, but I absolutely hate jogging. I think jogging is the most boring thing in the world. No offense to you joggers, but I totally hate jogging. Shoot me. I prefer go and play a sport, right, than just run around in a circle. But anyway, I digress. So I always had this thing about jogging, but jogging is not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do is feel like if I'm managing my time well, because I found that joggers must manage the time well, because how you get in time to go up in the morning to go jogging, right? And I realized that was what I was going for. And sometimes when we're planning some of these things that we want to do, you have to know exactly if this is what you, because my father always used to say, people doesn't do what they want to do, Some of these things where you wish you could do, you really just don't want to do it. You just don't want to do it, and that is why you're not doing it. Now, I'm not referring to these things that you have to do, but I'm referring to those stuff that you just want to put in there because, it looked like something that everybody's doing it. And I want to do it, but you don't want to do it, and that's why it's not there. So even in those areas where you're plugging in these things, once you've digressed a bit, once you've mapped out your time and you know exactly where things fall during your week. Because I also remember planning my week, and my week will never go the way it was planned, and it's because I forgot many things. Like I didn't have a proper appreciation of what my week looked like. I didn't notice the days when the children have to go to by the grandmother. I didn't notice days when the husband had to work a certain hour. When I forgot those things because off the top of my head, I just created this fantastic block. I was like, this is going to work. You see this right here? If I stick to this, I'm going to be amazing. But I didn't consider, only when I actually took a look at my week and I wrote down what I do during this time, what takes place here, what takes place there. When I did the time blocking, it made sense. It made sense because those blocks were my blocks. I didn't go and create any new blocks. So it didn't. So now, Mateela, when I don't go according to my blocks, I'm like a fish out of water, Watch me. Saturday and Sunday, I walk in with my planner in my hand, Because I'm like, what is this doing now? Because the worst time to try to plan is when you're in the middle of it. When you're in the middle of it, is your worst time. You need to have a plan before. So when you get up, you're like, wait, is how to do again today? You will know what you do. And what time blocking does is that you'll have a habit of things. You have a routine. My kids know when they get up in the morning, there's the morning routine. And that routine, and it's not restricted whatsoever because my house looks like a house. Everybody teeth brush, people happy and they're fed. So you know that the routines are actually working. So on to the last question where you spoke about different techniques that somebody could use. Now there are a lot of techniques. So let me know if I'm going a little too fast. Am I going okay?
I think you're going good.
You're good.
Okay.
I be soaking in.
Okay, good. So there are a lot of time management techniques, right? But at the end of the day, it all depends on what your issue is. So there are three main issues that any one person can experience or be challenged with when it comes to time management. Your time management might be affected due to a technical issue. So say, for instance, we were talking about the time blocking. You're talking about sometimes you might allocate a time, something to a block or a task to a day that it doesn't fit there. Sometimes you might say, today I'm going and doing and list 10 things and each thing takes 5 hours each. So you know that's not going to work out. Those are technical issues. Those are things that have to do with technique. Those are things you underestimate how long something will take. You overestimate how long something will take. You didn't delegate it to somebody else. Those things are technical issues that we might face, right? Another issue, and that a technical issue has its own type of technique to deal with it. So the tip I gave, which is to do a time audit, is one of the ways you can fix some of those technical issues, because you can, if you know it takes you, like for me, I thought I would take 2 minutes to do an email, like a nice long email. Then I time myself and realize it takes me 7 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, I do something and time myself all day, but I had to do it during work because I needed to get more productive. So I needed to know how long I was taking on certain tasks. And when I timed myself, it took me 7 minutes. Some things I took a longer time than I thought, and other things I took a shorter time. So for persons who have that type of issue where you keep trying to plan your week, but things aren't working out, do an audit of your week. Start off that way. Because it's like taking your car into the mechanic, right? They need to check to find the problem, to fix the problem. You need to identify if it have a rattling sound, or you need to know where the issue is before you fix it. And the only way you can fix it is by checking. So when you check your week, then you will know exactly where to put certain things. When you know how long it takes you to get things done, not everybody else, just you, then you will know how to plan. So those are examples of technical issues. The second issue that persons are challenged with are external issues. So this is where parents and people who taking care of loved ones, or persons who are transitioning, like you just started school, just left school, start a new job, you just moved, you just got married. This is called the external limitations, right? And that's where things happen out of your control that throw you off right through. So for me, it was a twin, twice, who need to wake up every hour and a half, and I have to go to work the next day. So when I go to work, I am a wreck and I can't concentrate. That's an external limitation. And in those times, the advice I would give to somebody is where we started off with, which is prioritizing. Right now, you just have to do what's the most important thing. So in any given moment, you have to choose which one is the most important. And plenty times that's a difficult decision for people to make, especially like moms, because you feel like the house must be well clean, because people don't understand when your house nasty, and you say, well, I have children, they're like, so you have them in a nasty house? People don't really get it, So you have to be able to prioritize, you may have to ask yourself a few questions, the end goal. For a lot of persons, preparation for the next day might be the end goal, knowing that the next day things are put in place. So I would start from the end to work my way to my point to decide what I really should be working on. And I'll explain what that means. So for instance, I would say to Monday morning, after the long weekend, what am I going to wish I did on the weekend to be ready for today? And then I'll be like, on a Monday morning, I might be scrambling for somebody's shoes, looking for somebody's toothbrush. I might be studying what we're going to have for breakfast. I might be starting to iron clothes. So then I'll write down those things, and then I know what I should prioritize for the weekend. Making sense? So for the person who has that external limitation, where it's like the time is not theirs anymore, things have shifted so much, the situation is new, they need to, they really need to get a handle on where they are. I would say prioritizing would be one of the techniques that you need to really apply this time. Choosing the thing that this one, if I don't do this now, it has the greatest consequence. So if I decide that I'm too tired and I'm not going to put the peas to soak, or I'm too tired and I ain't going to pack no bag, just picture how you're going to feel tomorrow morning when you jump up, because you stay up whole night with some baby or some responsibility or some assignment. And when you jump up in the morning, you have this to do. Yes, you're all following me? So when you have to choose your task, you do it based on priorities. And the last limitation or issue that persons generally go through is the internal limitations, psychological limitations. And this one is what leads to procrastination and perfectionism and all of these isms and these reasons why you can't get things done. And this affects your time management too. So I'll give you an example. I talk about the ham story, right? Sometimes you wasting your time doing a particular thing only because that's just how you were taught to do it. But there's no real reason for you to do it. So I give the story of a girl looking at her mom, and it's Christmas time, and she's preparing the ham to put in the oven, and she cut off the sides of the ham. And she's like, Mommy, why did that? And she's like, did what? She said, Mommy, I cut off the sides of the ham. And she said, well, I don't know, my mom always used to cut off the sides of the ham. She's like, well, Mommy, we wasting ham. And she said, well, I don't know, this is just how you're supposed to prepare the ham. She's like, here, go and ask your grandmother. So she goes to the grandmama and she says, Grandma, why did you teach mommy to cut off the sides of the ham? I don't understand. It feels like we could just get way more ham if we don't cut off the sides. So the grandmom says, that's just how you're supposed to prepare the ham. She said, well, Mom, that doesn't make any sense. She said, well, that's what my mommy taught me. So fortunately for her, her great grandmother is still alive and she was in the home and she wanted to say, great grandma, why do we have to cut off the sides of the ham before we bake it? And she said, cut off the sides of the ham. She says, yes, that's what Mom is doing right now. So great grandmother looked towards the kitchen and said, them still doing that? She said, I used to cut off the sides of the ham because I had a small baking tin. So sometimes we are doing things because your parents do it. I know of a lady, every night she will mop out the whole house. Every night. And she's so frustrated. Every night I had to mop out this whole house. And they asked the question, why you have to mop out the whole house every night? She said, well, that's just what my mother used to do. These are mindsets that we have that have us wasting time, spending time. Perfectionism is one of them. Now, I call myself a recovering perfectionist because I try to balance my perfectionist tendencies to these things that require that level of detail. Because I could get carried away. I would waste time to get it exactly right. And because I want to get it exactly right, if somebody come and say, hey, Larry, sprinkle in the house, that is the rest of the big day for me because I can't see a grain of dust. Everything must be shiny. You understand? So what does that lead to? Procrastination. You get it? You see the link? So because it must be perfect, somebody who is a perfectionist, when they consider a task that they know the level of detail they're going to put into it, they're like, you know what, let me do it next week now. And next week becomes next month, right? So those are three areas where persons might at any given time, find that they're struggling with time management. So it might be a technical thing where you just don't have somebody skills, the little techniques in place. It might be an external limitation where you're going through a transition, might be a new baby, just moved, just started school. All of these things feel like a change over your whole schedule. And it might be an internal limitation or psychological limitation. So many times you have to ask yourself, which one is it? What's going on with me right now? Is it that I'm procrastinating on this thing because that's external? Is it that I really don't have any time at all because I have the responsibility to take care of my mom, which will be external? Or is it that my schedule, how I'm doing it, this time blocking thing isn't working, which is just technical? And for each limitation, there are different techniques that can be used, and there are a host of techniques that can be used. I don't know if that anyway kind of answers some of your questions, Mateela.
Yeah, I even is Mateela question, but I saying yes, that was real good.
No, definitely. And I have been doing a lot of introspection at the moment. Yeah. So I mean, internalizing a lot. You know, I guess particularly what a very important point for me to note is the what did you call it? I think those things that are set that can't be changed. And the importance of starting with figuring out where you're at. Because when you figure out where you're at, so that time audit or that weekly audit, I think that's something that I'm going to really put my mind to doing. And I think anybody who wants to do better, because immediately as you were speaking, I could think of there's one particular goal that I want to complete by the end of the year. And I gave myself, isn't something that could be done in like a day, but I give myself to the end of the year, right? Because I want to do, with certain things, I have that perfectionist tendency as well. And I want to do this thing in a particular way. So I need to make sure I give myself enough time to get it done in the way I want to get it done. When really and truly, I don't need until December to get it done. I really don't. So and I could really see if I do a weekly audit, try the color block thing. I give up. When I say color block, I mean I give up now, right? Try the time blocking, not in the intensive way that I did before, a realistic time blocking. And then I could see how I could focus my energies on some of these goals some more. So I actually could see very practically. So for persons who have put certain things on the vision board, whether it be to come up with a business plan, whether it be to start a business, whether it be to spend some more time exercising or whatever, I think the guidance that you just gave is very relevant and very helpful and insightful. I mean, procrastination procrastination is something. Um, Procrastination really is something. I'm thinking I front load procrastination as well when I put this thing for quite December to myself, you know. Um, Tamara, I don't even know. I still processing. I mean, it might seem like, you might tell yourself time management, you just have to just manage your time, as I say, but you really can't manage time. Time is going to do what time does, which is run.
Yeah.
So you really have to manage yourself.
Yes.
It's yourself you have to manage. And I really didn't think about it as, the separation. You have the technical issues, you have your external issues, and you have your internal issues. And all these things could just bundle themselves up, and you are just running with time and achieving absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and wasted time. I mean, one of the worst feelings I think is to look back and be like, I should have done this
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
or
yes.
could have done that. So I think like having your vision plainly settled in that
Yeah.
board, and then understanding how to reform your habits and your attitude towards things could actually help you to be a much more fruitful person, because you don't want to be, I mean, for me, I don't want to be somebody that just living and you're not seeing, like you're asking yourself like, why, what I really doing? Like you don't want it to be like, what you're really doing. Like you're getting up every day, you're going to work or coming home. For me, fulfillment and purpose is, you see it tangibly as you get things done, as you get things you know as you're able to tick things off. And I've seen a number of ways where I could be taking a whole lot more. I realizing now, like Candace did a revise, I really not at a 3. I definitely not at a 3. Probably a little higher. But I mean, I still seeing where, you could chisel back. And the audit is what doing it for me right now, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's amazing that you say that because people just run from the audit. But that audit there, sister, once you have an idea of what your week looks like, you're good to go. But I also want to
Yeah.
say something too. Sorry, Candace, you're going to say something? Oh, okay. I thought I heard Candace. All right. John Maxwell says, change your routine and you'll change your life. Sometimes when we go after our goals, we focus on the goal, right? But what you should be focusing on is what's going to take you to the goal.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are staring at this brand new car every day, but the steps to get you to the car, we're not focusing on the steps to get you to the car. And we're focusing on the car because it's on our vision board and it's in our plain sight. Write the vision and make it plain, and we're looking at this car. But there are steps that you're required to take to get to the car. And we need to focus on the steps. Now, once you start to develop this person first, you'll find that it opens you a world of development for you, which I think is one of the reasons why we're always so distracted and we put ourselves last. Whether you're married or you're not married or you have children, typically persons tend to put career and other things up in front of themselves. And that way is as if we could remain slave to these things for the rest of our lives and give God a kind of a second place and give our calling a kind of a second. It's a kind of tricky sort of a trap that a lot of us fall into. And one of the places I always try to encourage women to do is to create a morning routine for yourself. A morning routine where you do these very same things every day and include the things that are going to develop you. A morning routine could be as simple as an hour where you spend 20 minutes. There's 5 items that you can do every morning. And you include the items that are going to help you grow spiritually, that are going to help you be more healthy, that's going to help you to develop. For instance, you might spend time in prayer, praise and worship, reading, exercise in that hour. Our morning routine has transformed my life completely. Everybody who can't find time to pray, who can't find time to read a book, who can't find time to exercise, you get it all done before the day even starts. So as if you start off the day like a boss. You start off that day and you already spend time with God. You start off that day and you've already conquered exercise. You start off that day and you already read something to edify yourself. So my morning routine would be to wake up, do my devotions. My morning routine has to kind of work according to my schedule. So my morning routine, if I travel into work, is all going on in the maxi. I still have my morning routine going on because I want to listen to a faith building podcast. So I'll listen to my boy Pastor Stephen Furtick. I have my mentor Terry Savelle. I listen to her. So before I go into my very toxic workplace where everybody's frustrated and they're tired and they're sick and I already came prepared. A morning routine, much as I mentioned before, like exercise, is called a keystone habit. You work on your habits and you'll build that same discipline that we're talking about and find that other things are easier. Because there's a saying that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it's a principle behind how you approach stuff and how you approach your morning routine. You find that that's how you're going to approach not just your morning routine, but the aspects, exercise or whatever. It's how you're going to approach everything else. So in addition to your morning routine setting you for the day, it helps you to build discipline. It helps you to grow and invest in yourself every day. I hear somebody saying, I don't have time for a morning routine. So I will say this. When my girls were just born, my boys were just born, I remember I had a coach who was coaching me on how to coach, right? So there was a master coach, right? And I would be so sad because I can't get up in the morning and spend time in prayer because I'm so tired because whole night I up with these kids and I cannot get up. And if I try to pray, I'll fall asleep. But if only I had more discipline, if only this was more important for me, if it was a priority, if I was a stronger Christian, I would make time to spend with God. I remember he asked me, he said, is it possible? And I thought, and he said, who wakes up who? You wake up the children or they wake you up? I said, they wake me up. He said, so who really running the show right now? I said, it was really them. So is it possible for you to do that this hour? And I thought, no. So I had to switch and find the next time to do it. So my morning routine was like my afternoon routine or my evening routine, but I just made sure it was done. So somebody listening to me saying, I don't have time for that. It don't have to be morning. Morning is ideal. But if it's not possible, what are you going to do? Nothing? Find a place for it. And what has happened to me is that that has transformed my life so much that I could approach creating new habits easier. And that's what the science says. These keystone habits cause a ricochet effect on other habits in your life. So when you're trying, if you put your mind towards that exercise and you focus on the exercise routine and you get it done, you would find other habits that you're trying to build. You want to spend less time on Netflix. You want to spend less time, they're going to fall into place. It's as if you're building your discipline muscles. But I always tell people start with the morning routine because we're talking about infusing the word of God and his presence into the entire day, and you can't go wrong with that. But it also has the awesome effect of helping you become an even better time manager.
I'm gonna start doing that from tomorrow. Sorry, Mateela.
So what you gonna start doing from tomorrow?
I can set up a morning routine and see if I could. And they say it takes 21 days. It's 21 days for you.
They say it takes 21 days. Somebody say it takes 60 something days. I don't know how long it took me, but I have a morning routine. I didn't even check it. I just get up in the morning and it just felt so amazing. I was like, I'm going to do this again. And I just did that. And I've been doing it.
I can give it a shot. I can give it a shot from tomorrow morning. And I will let you know how it goes.
No, you have to tell us like what you're going to do though. You're going to get up earlier.
Yeah. So I'll get up a little earlier, right? I get up a little earlier. I go to bed early every night. By 8 I go on. 9 for the latest. I'm a early nighter. So 10 if I don't know, like we all want to finish my Netflix series or have to get something done, like I have to be in the kitchen or something. But I'm an early night person. Okay, so what I'm going to do is Akins, will you leave me alone? Please. Akins is in the comments and he's just doing the most. Okay. So what I will do is I will get up a little earlier. I'll have my devotions. And if I get up earlier, I can have like a decent time of devotions. I don't want my devotions to be rushed. So I have my devotions. I will see about the dogs, right? I hope nobody from my house is watching this series, watching this right now to say, and you coming to see about the dog? What you doing with your life? But I'll try to say about the dogs. And this might be a little ambitious. But like if I could do like a little 15 jumping jack or something, like just stay, shake up myself in the morning, I'll do that, and then I'll get ready food. That's not a little ambitious,
Can
but
I ask
no.
you something? So
Yes.
permit me just for a second to help you to solidify this, right? So what time are you going to wake up?
5. Oh my god, I hope nobody from home watching. Let's go to 5:30.
What time do you normally wake up?
6.
Right, so you're going to wake up 30 minutes earlier, right?
Yeah.
No, 5 to, right, good. So you're waking up 30
Yeah.
minutes earlier,
Yeah.
right? How long are you going to spend for a nice devotions? 30 minutes.
Nah, I fool of myself. I don't pray long. My brothers be condensed. It's reading what I want to do. So a solid 20 should be fine.
So then 20 minutes is what? Your
Devotions.
devotion time, right? And then the next 10 minutes is dogs.
Dogs, yeah. It
Okay.
might take my last body dogs, to be quite honest. If I
And
put
then you
myself
said
together.
you will do about 20 jumping jacks.
It's about 20, just to make myself feel like, who can this? You do something.
All right. That sounds like a plan. Question for you. What does it take to feed the dogs?
But you mean like what I have to do?
Do you have to cook food for them? You have dog food?
No, it's chow.
Or is sure you have to give them? All right. Okay. And
So
your
it's
Bible
just it's
next
just
year.
like it's just like take out the chow, take the hose, put in take the hose full of their water containers, put them in the cage, pick up the poop.
How long does that typically take?
About 5,
About
7,
five,
8 minutes. 8 minutes max.
8 minutes, we assume. Okay, good. Where you
Depending
gonna
on
do
the
your
poop load.
devotions?
What did you say?
Where you gonna do your devotions?
Upstairs in the TV room.
Right. So write down 5:30. Set your alarm.
Right?
5:30. I used to write a note to myself. Hi, sunshine. This morning we are going to do so and so, and I will put it right next to my phone. So when I get to tick off the alarm in my sleepy stupor, I'll say, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And I'll read my notes and I'll go on. So you don't have
Okay.
to do that, but
So I'll do it.
write down what you intend to do. So you're making a statement of intent. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to go up to the TV room and I'm going to spend 20 minutes in the presence of God. I'm going to do 20 jumping jacks and then head across there and head across to the wherever is feed the dog,
Oh,
garage, wherever the kitchen, and I'm going to feed the dog. Write it down.
yeah.
Make the statement of intent. Set the alarm.
Right.
Mateela and the whole of Trinidad and Tobago is now accountable to the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. and then pray
Ah,
over it. Pray over it. Say, Lord, I'm not
okay.
sure. It don't matter what nobody say. This is what you want to do. But my question to
Right.
you on the level, let's say zero is not at all committed and 10 is 100% committed. What is your level of commitment to doing this? This is very important. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10, not 0.
Right now, a solid 8.
A solid 8.
A solid 8, yeah.
What would it take for you to be a 10?
Um, I guess, like I know in the morning is we had to actually wake up now, boy.
Right.
So that is what minusing my 2 for making it the full 10, because the sleep just be so sweet. So it's be hard for me to actually watch it. Get alarm 5:30 and I tell myself, oh gosh, Candace, you'll get 5:40 instead. You'll
Right.
get 5:50 instead. So probably procrastination. I don't know what you call it.
Okay. All right. Unacceptable. We need to get from 8 to 10. How are we going to get to 10?
You asking?
Yes.
I don't know. Talk to myself. I must go to bed earlier if I go to bed earlier. But honestly, think even if I go to bed earlier, once I get up, I think how long I sleep in for, I would still want to get up 6 o'clock. So I just think it's a mind thing. After like really do the notes and tell myself, Candace Joy, you want to get this done.
One
You
trick I
sounded
used to do,
like
Candace, when I used to get trouble to get up with the alarm, and you get up and you just slide it up. I used to leave the phone like on the bookshelf. So to take off the alarm, I actually have
you
to
have to
get
get
up
up.
and walk to the bookshelf and take it off. And by the time I get up and walk to the bookshelf, I'm done up already. So it's all
All
right.
right, hear this, right, guys? You know, like when your body in a routine, because I get up before my alarm because your body accustomed getting up at 6. So the alarm in itself is not the issue, It's just that, okay, it will be this. It's not to adjust myself from getting up, my body from getting up to 6 to 5:30. But it's not like if I struggle to get up, if that makes sense. Because even on a Saturday and a Sunday, by 6:08 or by 6:05, I up. Like I will automatically jump up. So my body's accustomed to that. So when I say it will be hard getting up 5:30, it's not like we getting up, but knowing what you're going to get up to do, if that makes sense. Like enough to get up to go outside and see about the dogs, which I have not been doing since I started to work. So and seeing about the dogs early in the morning is a little tiresome. So I think that is what I will need to, and if I explain to
But you're
myself
not getting
properly,
up. You're not getting up to see about the dogs.
I get to talk to Jesus. Okay, that sounds a little
And to
nice.
spend a little more time, Candace, and to spend time in the word. And to
And do
start
a
to
15
feel
jumping jacks.
fired up. And to do 15 jumping jacks. And in it, the
Ah,
dog will get fed.
okay, cool. I like how you say that. It sounds a
Yeah.
little better. Okay, so I can afford it to be Jesus' friend. Cool.
Right? So that's a 10?
Yeah, 10.
It's a
10?
10.
10, yeah.
Move your phone
To
away from your
Mateela
bed.
now. To Mateela. But Mateela, let's be up by 3:30. Mateela, let's be up.
I get up. I get up at but I have the same. I need to be a little intentional. So I get up at 1:45 a.m. to pray, and then I go back to sleep to get up again to go to work. But when it comes time to get up to go to work, I has kind of faltered there. So I need to be more intentional. And for me, it'll be getting up to make sure like I make my smoothie or my green juice in the morning. Because when I don't get up on time, I don't do it and I just get ready and go to work. So that'd be me. I'll do the same. I will get up at 5:30 so I could make my green juice and whatever the case might be. So I will message Candace at 5:30 when I wake up and be like, you're up. How that
I know what
conversation
might help
goes.
you, Mateela. You see your same green smoothie. What if you prep it the night before?
So I
So
started doing
things
that last week, like cut up the stuff and put it in a bag and leave it till the morning. I just have to juice it.
to roll, yes.
Yeah. But then when I
And put
get up late,
everything
it
in
just
place.
remains there. Yeah. I'll try. It's a 10 from me. But I don't have a solid morning plan, but oh bad. I'll organize myself.
That's
So,
a plan. That's a morning
yeah.
plan.
Yeah. I still on the
Then
audit.
what's
So
the
I know my task is the audit, to do the audit and see what's going on and where I could improve.
There
So,
are auditing apps. There are apps that you could use to audit your time.
really?
Toggle time to your GGL. Time rescue. Are the two that come to mind, but there are apps you could use to do so, or you could just take a journal. I like the journal because for me, I write down what I do and what everybody else doing because but that's a persons who it affects a lot of persons, parents and that kind of thing. So you want to know what your husband or your wife doing at this time, the children if they have lessons. Well, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
a journal will capture these kind of things on an app wouldn't capture. If you're doing this on your desktop, Google App Store. Is Google App Store? That's on your desktop? Google App Store? I could be wrong, but no, you know the one if you're using Google as your main thing, Google Marketplace, whatever. But Google has an actual desktop app if you're checking like your work productivity, I used to use that. So I'll just plug in everything I do, and then when I start one, I say time it. And at the end of most of these apps, they can give you a little pie chart and show you what you're spending most of your time on, how long it takes to do certain tasks. So that's you can look into technology as well.
Okay. Well, at least for me, my takeaway is I need to figure out. I think I have a time management problem, and I will figure that. I'll figure out the extent of the problem when I do the time audit, weekly audit thing, followed with some time blocking, and we'll see how it goes. I'll report back to the WTT family and to Tamara probably like 3 weeks from now. I'll give myself a little 3 weeks to get that together. Yeah, and that's what's been very useful for me as a starting point. So I mean, I have nothing further to ask or to comment or to say or to suggest, nothing. Oh, there's one thing I was going to say. There's one thing else I was going to say that you all mentioned, Tamara mentioned earlier, and it's a problem I had as well. I think you were saying, even if it's 5 minutes you're getting to do something, 5 minutes is still something, so give it the 5 minutes. I was somebody, like when I used to struggle with having morning prayer time or whatever, I would tell myself, if it's 5 minutes devotion, I go and do best, I don't do none. Or if it's 20 minutes exercise, I go in and do that and making sense better. Just if I can't do a 2 hours, then, or if I can't do an hour, then that ain't making no sense. But really and truly is step by step, drop by drop, pocket plus full, right? So so people who might tell us you probably can't find any time to do something, or 5 minutes is not enough. And again, Tamara measured it as well. You have to figure out what's working for you in a particular time, in a particular season, so somebody might be able to find 3 hours to exercise, and you just legit can't. And 5 minutes, 15 jumping jacks is what you could do. So you do 15 jumping jacks and cool yourself. And
I used to do that. Yes.
The 15 will soon be 20 and 25, and however the thing will be. So it's just to pace yourself. I think we really, really got some good tips, and I think not only the tips and stuff, I think the conversation has caused me to approach time management from a much broader and more realistic mindset. Yeah, definitely. Because for me, if I could only surely that timetable I'd come up with is ridiculous. So Tamara, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to hear that. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I sponge in, like I just sit down here, and is a really good conversation to have. The audits, I mean, I keep saying the audit, I think I am telling everybody start with the audit, because I think that's where you really figure out where you're at. So, I mean, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And I actually feel motivated, like I'm excited to accomplish this, I'm excited.
Good.
I'm excited.
See the excitement. She's top.
I said mission accomplished.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. So Tamara, thank you very, very, very much. We'll get some comments from everybody quiet, and I feel they're quiet because they kind of like me at the moment. You're just taking the team. So thank you very, very much. It was great having a great conversation. Tamara has a Facebook page. I mean, this is like a very scratch surface session we would have had there. So if you follow her Facebook page, Every Woman, she also has a Facebook page, TM Consultants. And you continuously see tips and stuff floating around the pages. I follow the Every Woman page, and you always see something that catches your attention, and something doable, and something very practical as well, like very, very practical and realistic. So check out her page, like her page, reach out to her if you feel like you could do with a little bit of time management mentoring or I don't even know what you would call it. Coaching, yeah.
Coaching, yeah.
Thank you very much. We took you away from your family for a very long time on a Sunday afternoon there. So say hello to everyone for us. And it was great having you. Thank you very, very much. Candace?
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. All right, take care.
I have nothing else to add. You did a really good close off there, Mateela. Good job.
Thank you very much. So, all right, so that's it. Thanks for having us, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for being with us. We will see you all next time. We'll drop what the next topic is sometime in a week. So look out for it. We'll
Yeah.
see you all then. Have a good evening, everybody, and a blessed week ahead with a lot of productivity and excellent time management.
Yes.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.